Okay, so we each have an example here. I'm gonna kick it to you first. Yeah, take it away. What's your example and how are they staying close to the buyer?
All right. Oh, me first. There's so much pressure. It's like a ready
I
for
know on
launch all
Ready
over
for
again.
Launch, you guys are always fighting to get first dibs, or there's some randomizer that Grayson's thrown out there. So, well, we're politer here. We have etiquette on the Coffee and Compete podcast.
Amazing. Okay. So I'm going to use the example of McDonald's. So certainly not a B2B example, but I'm feeling very bullish these days about learning from B2C. And so we're going to use McDonald's to talk about McDonald's and how they prioritize customer feedback. We're going to go all the way back to the early 2000s. So we are dating ourselves here. Oh, I got to stop doing that. But McDonald's, we know when you think of McDonald's, you think of hamburgers, you think of French fries. I'm sure you certainly do not think of anything healthy. And in the early 2000s, this was even more so the case than it is today. But it's interesting when you dig into it, McDonald's actually is one of the companies that really prioritizes customer feedback on every receipt that you get. And they've had this for like decades now. You can actually go on and take a customer survey. There is a little bit of a reward of if you take it, they'll give you one free hamburger or buy one, get one, whatever it might be. And so it's great because they've been collecting this feedback for a decade. So it's not just, oh, they decided to do one survey, they listened to it, and then they implemented it. What they're doing is they're identifying trends. And because there's so many McDonald's and so many McDonald's customers around the world, they're able to identify patterns. And so what we saw in the early 2000s was a rise in feedback from customers and people who are buying from McDonald's around this idea of I want something healthier. And now this was also kind of corresponding to trends in the market where you remember when all those documentaries were coming out, like the guy who only ate McDonald's for a year and how McDonald's is poisoning us. So there's a market trend happening. And whether the customers were responding to the trend or just genuinely wanting to have some healthier options, this is the feedback McDonald's is getting. And so what they did is they actually did a couple interesting things. And I want to talk about how they responded to what customers were asking for. And then I want to talk a little bit about, do customers even know what they want? So I'll start with the first one, which this is like the perfect customer research philosophy, right? So the first thing that they do, they kind of did two approaches. The first approach is they started to sprinkle healthier items all over their menu. So they made a smaller fry size. They added oatmeal. Do you remember those salads that came in a shaker cup?
Oh, yeah. I remember those.
They got rid of McDonald's pizza, which was RIP. That was my favorite McDonald's order. But one of the biggest things I think they did in terms of actually listening to customer feedback is they made the Happy Meal much healthier. And I think this made total sense because people want kids to eat healthier. Parents want their kids to eat healthier. And so they did a few things. First, instead of just giving you a fry with the Happy Meal, they let you choose between apple slices. In some regions, you could choose an orange instead of apple or the fries. And they saw a massive uplift in this. And then the second thing, which I didn't realize until I started digging into the research, was they actually got rid of the soda option. So I guess you used to be able to buy soda with the Happy Meal, which is crazy because we shouldn't be feeding kids more soda. And now you can get juice or water. So they got rid of the soda option. They added the fruit. And they saw a ton of increase in sales for the Happy Meal. And what they also saw was not only did they make these healthier options, but they were really listening to kind of the market vibes around these healthier options. And so they changed their advertising too. So instead of advertising the Happy Meals with the French fries, they would put the apple slices in the ads, which I thought was super interesting. So they're not just saying, okay, here, you can have the option. They were promoting the option too, which I think is an indication of how important they realized it would be. Then the second thing they did in terms of both adding the healthier things to the menu was that they just kind of opened up transparency around the healthiness or not healthiness of their food. And so they started adding calorie counts to everything. And I know in some countries this is legally mandated now, but they really were ahead of the trend on that. And so this allowed people to say, well, maybe I'm not going to order the salad shaker cup from McDonald's, but maybe I'll choose the chicken nuggets because it's a healthier option than the Big Mac. And so it at least gave people the option to make the right health decision for them. So all of that was great. If we're just looking on paper, customers are asking for healthy options at McDonald's. McDonald's delivered. So did this work out? Yes and no. The Happy Meal, I think, was like the biggest slam dunk. This has kind of continued into today. And a lot of other companies, like Chipotle, have really taken on the kids' meal this way. Got Chipotle, you also get the little clementine orange, and you rarely will get offered a soda. And so I think they were really like paving the way to make the kids' food healthier. Now, let's say the more adult menu items didn't land quite so well. So I'm pretty sure the salads have been removed from most places. I haven't seen it at a McDonald's in years. They had like a little vegan burger they tested for a bit. That didn't land well. And so I think this is where I wanted to bring this concept of, do consumers even know what they want? And so I've done a lot of research myself as a product marketer. And oftentimes we want to dig into, okay, what are they asking for from a feature perspective? So they might be asking for like a healthy menu item. What do they really mean? Well, the job to be done here is like, I want to be able to choose the right meal for me. And so I think McDonald's kind of like over indexed on trying to deliver exactly what the consumer asks for. Like, I want to order salad at McDonald's. No one wants to order salad at McDonald's. What they want to be able to do is they want to be able to choose the healthiest item at McDonald's, or they want to feel better about choosing a healthy item, or maybe, just feeling indulgent and not choosing it. And so I think like they kind of over indexed, they've recalibrated, and now we really have like the rise of healthy fast food. So like Sweet Green, Cava. I know here in Vancouver, Adam, we probably go to Field and Social.
Oh, yeah.
And the reality is like, if I want a salad, I'm going to Sweet Green. I'm not going to McDonald's. But when I'm at McDonald's, I appreciate having the nutritional information, so I feel less bad about eating my nugget.
This is a really interesting example. I love you brought this, like, do consumers know what they want? And I kind of have another question along a similar vein to you there is like, so if we're talking about being tapped into the market and the buyers. If they're seeing that there's a shift towards health consciousness, I think this is like a really important question for companies. I want your take here. Maybe there's other examples you've seen of listening to the buyer and the market, but also not losing what your core value prop is. Like you said there, people don't associate McDonald's with a fresh salad. They're like, oh, they have the best salty fries in the game. I want to get McDonald's. So I guess my question is like, how do you see other companies balancing what they're hearing from market trends and what they're hearing from their buyers, but not losing who they are and what their core value prop truly is?
It's hard to come up with like an example on the spot, but I think that is the like $1 million question. And I think customer research is like one input. Obviously, as a product marketer, like I need customer research, I need market research, but you can't lose yourself. Like even all of the companies I worked for in B2B, it's like it has to be read within the lens of your company's strategy, right? And your company mission. And so I think when you're a company who has a really clear and solid mission and vision, and you understand like the decision-making framework that you can make those decisions through, it's easier to kind of make sense of some of this research. We do see companies maybe losing themselves along the way.
And it's interesting you mentioned too, if you lose yourself along the way, we talk a lot about competition on this podcast. You mentioned there, if they continue to just over-orient themselves towards this healthy brand, they're playing in a whole new world where like you said, like your Field and Social, like your healthier fast food items that are made for that were built, their identity, their purpose is built with being healthier. You're just playing into another company's game at that point. Like you've lost where you are, you've lost where you win, and you're just you kind of like cut your nose to spite your face in a really poor situation.
Yes, and an example has come to me. I knew it would. This is a Canadian example, but I feel like it will also apply in America and other countries, which is airlines. So in Canada, we have a premium airline. It's called Air Canada. And yes, we pay a little bit more, but it's like you always get free snacks. The seats are a little bit more comfortable. You get to bring on more luggage onto the airline, right? Then we have Flair Airlines, which is like the budget. It's like the Ryanair of Europe, right? And you know what you're getting there though, right? It's like, yeah, you're going to pay way less, but like you're going to be uncomfortable. You can't bring any luggage with you, and you're going to have to like pay for water. And I feel like, recently Air Canada announced a new fare, a basic fare, where yes, it's a little bit more affordable, but you don't even get to bring a carry-on. And I just felt like This to me felt so in opposite to their mission as a premium airline that I was like, really? Just to like save a couple dollars, you're not going to let people bring a carry-on? Like we know there's enough room for all of our luggage. We've all been on a plane and everyone's only allowed to bring one luggage. And so for me, that felt damaging to their brand. I was like, you're supposed to be a premium brand and now you're nickel and diming people. And they're just trying to play the Flair game, right? But it makes sense for Flair because that's what their whole, reputation and brand is built on. And it's not damaging to them. It's damaging, I think, to what Air Canada is doing.
I think both of those examples are interesting too. I think when they're like Air Canada is the premium, it's the market leader in this case. Same with McDonald's is oftentimes market leader when they're, especially when these aren't necessarily like private equity moments, but like when you're looking for more additional revenue streams, you start to broaden yourself and start to take on things that dilute what your core purpose was or is. And that's always interesting when you're adding in, for maybe B2B examples, like are you adding in product lines that are actually additive to your core offering, or are you kind of going a little too far away? Both companies you can see is like healthier option. There's a lot more opportunity to the health conscious buyer. Budget flight options, we can kind of capture that market that Flair Air are kind of circling on, but at some point you can't be everything to everyone.